2 Sabbaths ago, we were blessed to hear a concert here in this church, and it was from the Oklahoma Adventist Academy. And if you missed it, I'm sorry that you did, because it was a very good concert. Before they got started, they handed out a program, and on that program was a list of all their songs that they've performed in the past. And so they asked us to select 5 from 2 categories. One was their choral selection, and one was the bells. They had bells that stretched out the full width of the church here, and they played those. And anyway, they did a marvelous job. They alternated between singing a song and playing the bells. And anyway, when they got done, I think they played a couple more that they just threw in there too, but that was great. After they were done, they introduced themselves, and they said a little something about each one of them. And when they were done, then the adults got their turn at saying something about themselves. And at this point, the director of the group, she made the comment that she couldn't wait to get to heaven and receive her gold harp and her wings. Now, as an Adventist, I was kind of taken aback. So I decided I needed to do some investigating into that, into how it is, our relationship between ourselves and angels. We know angels have wings. It's stated in the Bible. Our scriptural reading, it talks about the heavenly beings and their wings. And so by that we know that angels have wings. So I started looking into the Bible about angels. And I found, well, I didn't actually read or count all these, but it's been stated that there's 273 direct references in the Bible about angels. And there's about another 100 indirect references about angels. And in Revelation alone, there's 71 references to angels. So, yes, I never went through and counted all them. I just took the person's, took them for being correct. So, when we go to heaven, or when we're resurrected, do we turn into angels? And of course, as Adventists, we don't believe that we go to heaven after we die directly. And we rest in the grave until Christ comes back to redeem us if we die. Those that have fallen asleep and are resting in the grave, they shall be resurrected first. And those of us that are still alive will be caught up in the air with those that have died before. And so we all meet up together in the air. So how does that happen? When we are transformed in the blink of an eye? Are we miraculously given wings and that we can actually fly like a bird? Or is it that we just rise up and meet Christ in the air? So, however it happens, I'm planning on doing a little flying when Christ comes back, one way or the other. If I'm asleep in the grave or if I'm still alive, I'm planning on doing some flying. But does that mean that I actually get wings? Well, the answer to that, according to a lot of authorities, is that the answer is no. Upon resurrections, humans do not receive literal wings. The idea of wings in depictions of heaven is often associated with angels and is a symbolic representation of freedom, spirituality, and connection to the divine, rather than a literal part of the resurrected human body. The resurrected body is described as a transformed, glorified body made perfect the way that it would have been without sin entering the world. So, the first mention of angels in the Bible is in Genesis 3, starting with verse 22. Then the Lord God said, "Behold, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put out his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him out of the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden, and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way of the tree of life." So, God placed an angel in the garden to keep man from being able to enter back into the garden. So obviously angels were created before the first human death, so we don't turn into angels, and that's what inhabits the earth. And we're also told that war broke out in heaven with the angels, and that was likely before the fall of man also, because Lucifer came down and deceived Eve. So originally we were made lower than the angels. In Psalms 8:5 it says, "For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and you have crowned him with glory and honor." That's how the description of man was. We were made a little lower than the angels, but yet we were crowned with glory and honor. And in 1 Corinthians it states that after our resurrection, during the millennium, we will be judging the fallen angels. So at some point, does that statement, though, does that mean that we are ever elevated above the unfallen angels? It doesn't really say. So in this topic, I found that angels are angels and man is man. We are both different created beings. One does not turn into the other. And no mention is made as to how angels were created, though there's speculation that angels were created out of light. After God created light, he created the angels, and he made the angels out of the light that he'd created. But man, on the other hand, God created the earth, the firmament, and out of that firmament is what God created man. He created him out of the dust of the earth, and into that dust of the earth, God breathed life. Now, how did God breathe life into the angels? I don't know. Maybe somebody knows how that happened. I could not find any of that. So the Bible mentions several types of angels. We have listed cherubims, which is what we talked about in the garden. We have seraphim, and then there is an archangel. Cherubims are known for their roles as guardians of sacred spaces. And they don't look like what I have on the bulletin. They have 4 faces, one the likeness of man, and the other 3 the likeness of beasts or animals. They have 4 wings. They have 2 on one side and 2 on the other. And the one set of wings are to hide their feet, to show their humbleness, and the other 2 are used for flight. And also under their wings are hands appear. And the cherubims we see through the Bible, they were depicted as being over the Ark of the Covenant, and they're also guardians of the throne of God, and anyway. Oh, yeah, Lucifer came from being a cherubim. And then we come to the seraphim, and they are very strange looking beasts. They don't look anything like what we typically think of as angels looking like. For instance, they have 6 wings, and they are completely covered with eyes. And some of them, and so if you look at some of the artists' renditions of what this looks like, it looks like this big round thing with eyes all around and then just all these wings around it. So they don't look like what we think of as a typical angel. So they have 1 pair of wings that covers their faces, the other pair covers their feet, and the remaining pair are used for flying. Additionally, I just said they are depicted with having many eyes. The reason they have the set of wings that cover their face is because they are very close to God's throne, and to keep themselves from being destroyed by God. And then the other pair, their feet for humbleness, and then the other pair for flying. And they are in the process of praising God day and night. And they're also used as messengers also. So when you say your prayers or whatever, they may be taking your prayers and sending them on to God. I don't know. And then we have the archangel, and he is the angel that's above all the other angels. And it's said that Michael is the archangel, and that's also a name used for Christ. So Christ is the leader of the angel group, but does that mean that Christ is an angel? Well, no, it isn't, because the angels are a created being, and who created them? It was Christ that created them. So Christ is not an angel. So there's a couple other groups, which is the fallen angels. 1/3 of the angels were tempted by Satan, and so he took 1/3 of them in his fall, and then 2/3 of the angels are still left. So since this is just totally conjecture, so since Lucifer was a cherubim, did he take 1/3 of just the cherubims and left the other 2/3 of the seraphim? That's all hypothetical questions, I guess. So angels have other duties other than just floating around in heaven and praising God and being messengers. Being messengers is a very important duty, though. So there are stories in the Bible where God uses the angels as warriors. They were sent to rout the enemies of Israel. During the plagues, we talked about this morning, that in our lesson, that during the Passover, the people were supposed to put the blood of a lamb on the doorpost and lintel, and then the angel of death was going to come by, and when they saw the blood on the post, they left the household alone. But if there was no blood, then the firstborn was killed, not only of humans, but also animals. So when the army of the Syrians surrounded the little town of Dothan, where the prophet Elijah with his young assistant was spending the night, angels delivered them. And the prophet said, "Fear not, for they that are with us are more than they that be with them." And Elijah prayed and said, "Lord, I pray thee, open my assistant's eyes that he may see." And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw and beheld that around them was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elijah and him. Wouldn't it be wonderful if your eyes could be open and you could actually see all the things? But I don't know, maybe it'd be too much. And so that's why God keeps us in the dark. So, when Peter was thrown into prison, an angel came by one night and opened the prison door and brought Peter out. So, angels are, they don't have to follow the physical laws. Bolts and bars of prison and prison doors, they don't have any match to what angels can do. So they can walk through walls, they can do all that. So I want to get into physics a little bit. So light, if angels are made of light, light can penetrate a lot of things that that we can't see. There's different spectrums of light, and there's particles that actually pass through us and we don't even realize that. We have particles that in a second will pass through the whole earth. And so there's all of these particles floating around out there in space that we can't see them directly, but they're there, and they have a laboratory built in the Homestake gold mine to study these particles, and it's quite fascinating to, at least to some of us, about what they're doing there. And so if the angels are made up of these subatomic particles, then yeah, they can do lots of things that, yeah, we can't do. So the angels, they also have a part in our salvation. They are ministering spirits, guiding us, watching over us, and helping us. As I stand here right now, God's angel is beside me, and he's helping to guide me through this life. He knows all about me and is never far from me. He surrounds me with his sweet influence, and he tries to protect me from evil. Though the angels cannot do anything to interrupt our free will, we are still free agents to be able to think on our own, though they can influence us to a point. So I don't need wings to get myself to heaven. I don't know how I will make that journey. If I am aided by angels, they take me in one and eat, or two with my arms, or maybe one just grabs me in the middle and flies me off. I don't know. And once I'm there, I don't think I have a need to have a golden harp or a set of wings. All I want to be able to do is look into the face of Jesus and to thank him for his sacrifice for me, and to look upon his scarred hands and feet and to tell him how sorry I am, that those wounds should have been mine, but he took them upon himself in my place. How could I ever repay that love?